Good morning YouTube and a metaverse and beyond. Well, today I'm going to give you a run through and a review of the beautiful Scrambler 1200 XC. This bike is actually my personal bike, and it's a bike I absolutely love for many reasons. Yes, there's a few things that probably could have been done better in development, but do you know what? On the whole, the Triumph is an absolute beautiful bike. I bought this bike in 2021. It was a 2019. It was new to me. One previous owner. It got 2,800 miles on the clock when I bought it. I'm just shy of 8,000 miles on this bike now, and do you know what? It really does make me smile every time I go into the garage and get this bike out. It's a bike that I never really did a lot on in development. I did 5,000 miles on one of the first prototypes, and I absolutely loved it, but then I got put onto a different project and I never actually went back to it. I was just busy with other bikes, and it was a bike that I said at some point, do you know what, I will revisit it because it's a bike that I just love riding. It fits me so well. I'm 6 foot. This bike for me is the perfect fit. I'm flat-footed both sides, and yeah, ergonomically it just fits me really well. So we've got the Showa 47mm upside down forks that are fully adjustable for preload dampening. They really do soak up everything that the road, and pretty much anything off-road, if you like off-road, will throw at you. They've got adjustable compression preload and dampening with a 250mm travel, and yeah, I've always loved Showa. They've got real good quality to the front suspension with these forks. They really do soak up everything on the road and off-road as well, if that's the way you're inclined. For me, I'm more of a tarmac warrior than an off-road king. The rear is Öhlins twin piggyback reservoir shocks with adjustable compression rebound preload with the same 250mm of travel. The main difference really between the XE and the XC is the XC had 200mm travel front and back. Here we have the mighty and the beautiful, sexy 1200 Scrambler engine. I do love this bike. Just looking at it just floats my boat. Power-wise, it kicks out 90 HP, which, you know, isn't the most at the top, but it's the torque for me on this bike that just makes it so enjoyable to ride on the road. And it's kicking out 110 Newton meters of torque at about 3,950 RPM. And you know what? That is just the sweet spot. That's where I like it. That's just that point where you want to overtake. So the front wheel spec for this bike, it's got a 21-inch front wheel, which is a tubeless spoke wheel. And I've got to say, I have this thing about tube tyres that really just bug me. They really do. I just don't want to be carrying tubes around. And so for me, it was a real big selling point with this Scrambler when they launched it with tubeless spoked wheels. On the rear, yet again, it's a 17-inch spoked tubeless tyre. So not long after I purchased this bike, I changed the tyres. Originally it came with the Metzlers, which were the OE tyre for the Triumph, and after quite a few Triumphs, the Tiger 900s, the Tiger 1200s. I don't dislike the Metzlers, don't get me wrong. I've done a lot of miles on Metzlers, but we did a tyre comparison on virtually every model through production. And we would always do a tyre comparison test where we would have a different set of brand tyres to what they wanted to fit OE, just to do a comparison test. And I always remember running the Continental TK7s, and for me, it was just a far superior tyre, it really was. But Triumph, in their great wisdom, decided to go with the Metzlers. For what reason, I do not know. It could be down to cost, it could be down to price, it could be down to the volume of tyres that Metzler could supply them. But for me, the Continentals were just so much better. They were just better in the wet, they were better at feedback front and back, they felt better in the dry, they turned in quicker. I always found the Metzlers felt like they were just moving around on the carcass a little bit when you really started to push it. And like I say, for me there's nothing wrong with the Metzlers, and you know, I've done plenty of miles on them, but the Continentals were just far superior tyre. So that's what I fitted to this bike, and it was probably one of the best upgrades that I've done to this bike, and that was change the tyres. It's amazing what a set of tyres can do for your confidence and what it can do for how the bike presents itself to you on the road. And like I say, the feedback I get from the front now is just absolutely superb. I will throw it into a bend and I know exactly what it's going to do. So yeah, Continental TK7s for me were the perfect option for this bike. Well, do you know what? Let's stop yabbing and going on about specs. Like I say, I'll list all the specs here and I'll throw it down there into the description below, and if you're really into looking at all the specs and the tech it comes with, then do you know what, it's down there. So let's hit the road, let's go and do some miles down some nice twisty lanes, and I'll talk you through what I love, what I think could have been better, and the one thing I really didn't like when we first did this bike. And you know what, if I'm honest, I still don't like it, but it's part of the bike, it's there. I think it's changed now in the new generation of the Scrambler. They've actually changed that one thing, and for me, I'm glad, because it's the one thing that just bugged me from the off. So originally in 2021, I bought a Tiger 900 Pro, which was the last bike that I developed for Triumph, and it's one model that I probably did more on than any other model due to coming back from a injury. So I bought myself a 2021 plate and I owned it for about 6 months, and don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful bike and I did love it. I just wasn't in love with it, and that was my problem. So I thought to myself, what bike will fill that void, fill that gap, you know, where I want to go in the garage, I want to look at it, I want to talk dirty to it, I want to polish it, I want to clean it, and I want to love riding it, I want to love owning it. And the mighty Scrambler popped into my mind because it was a bike that I always said I would come back to, purely because I did 5,000 miles on the first prototype, and then I was taken off that bike and put on another project. So I never really got to go back to it, but in the 5,000 miles I did have it, I did love it. And I thought to myself, do you know what, that's the bike, that's the Triumph I'm going to own, purely based on the fact that I haven't really got to know it, I haven't really had that relationship with it, whereas I'd had that relationship with the 900. And like I say, for anybody that's got a 900, it's a beautiful bike, it really is. But aesthetically, the Scrambler just floats my boat. I love the look of the Bonneville range and how aesthetically these bikes just please the eye, if you like. So I got in touch with Stafford Triumph, Bob, who's a lovely guy, and Dan, his head salesman. And I said, look, you've got 5 Scramblers in your showroom, you haven't got a 900 Pro in as good a condition as mine, how about we just do a straight swap for this Scrambler? And Bob being Bobby went, do you know what, because it's you, Lee, yeah, let's do that. So yeah, I did lose 500-600 quid realistically on the beautiful Tiger, but it didn't matter because I was infatuated with getting my hands on one of these, and I'm so glad I did, because like I say, it's a bike that I not only love, I'm in love with. I just love the ergonomics of it, it fits me so well, it's comfortable. I love the wide handlebars. The handlebars are set just at that sweet spot where it gives you really good fit and finish from the wrists to the elbow to the shoulder, which means no matter how long I ride this bike, I never get backache, I really don't. And it goes the same from the waist to the knee to the ankle. Ergonomically, this bike is one of the best fits that for me I've ever had. And one of the biggest selling points for me on having this bike was the fact that how well it does fit me. And I always remember first seeing the very first prototype of this bike at Triumph and saying to myself, oh my god, this is something totally different, because at this point for us as test riders this was something totally new.
we'd been working on a lot of Bonneville range at this point, because fly-by-wire really had pushed us to the next level in technology, but it also meant that we had a lot of models, a bigger range. But this was somewhat different. The size of it, the stance of it, you know, the presence it gave on the road and the way it looked was just like, wow, yeah, we're going to knock it out the ballpark with this bike. But unfortunately it flopped in its initial launch, and COVID has a lot to do with that, and that was because pretty much the whole marketing push behind this bike was the James Bond film, and on that epic jump that he does over the staircase, and the film got delayed, so the bike got delayed, and then the film got delayed again. But Triumph had made the decision at this point, we can't delay the bike anymore, we've got to get it out there, we've got units that are built, we've got to get it out there, we've got to start selling them. So they did, but unfortunately, like I say, it wasn't an instant hit, it really wasn't. And that all changed when that film came out. It really did. As soon as James Bond hit the screens, oh my god, I don't think Triumph could build them quick enough. Then you had the Guy Martin jump bike, and the whole marketing all of a sudden kicked in. Yeah, it was a little bit late, but it kicked in, and the mighty Scrambler took its place on centre stage, and like I say, the orders came in thick and fast. So at the time we'd got the 900 Scrambler, Street Scrambler, which is what my wife owns, and do you know what, that's a cracking bike in its own right, and it's got a beautiful, smooth, silky engine, but for me it was just too short in the leg, too short in the arms. I could ride it for, you know, any considerable amount of time, and I would just start feeling very uncomfortable. So that's where this bike came in, where it totally changed not only my perception of a Triumph Scrambler, but the experience and the riding experience. You know, it also came, like I say, fully blinged out. Öhlins rear shock, Showa front, Brembo brakes, tubeless tyres, and fly-by-wire technology, which gives you a rider modes, ABS, slipper clutch. You know, aesthetically, yes, it looks like a, you know, a modern classic bike, but she definitely has a lot of tech to her, and you can feel that in the ride. The throttle response for a twin, beautiful. You just wind it on and away she goes. She will pick up and I love that torque. You know, top end, it's not about top end with this bike. This bike is all about that torque and the way it picks up, and the way that you can, when you need it, you ask for that power and it will deliver it, especially when it comes to things like overtakes, you know. And it is minimal effort in the wrist to get this bike to pick its legs up and get going, you know. Very rarely got to drop a gear. It's quite lazy, you can do it from the top. When you do ask it, oh yeah, it will give you what you want when you want it. That's one of the things I love about this bike. I love the torque in it, I love the way that it's the throttle response. And do you know what, I think all Triumphs are really good at that. They're really good at having this really smooth linear throttle, and that is purely based on the amount of money that Triumph have invested in what we call the EMS department at Triumph. And these are the guys that are super intelligent. I mean, I used to go out and do a run on track, and they'd look at everything the engine's doing, everything the throttle's doing, come back, plug the SD card in, and to me it was like looking at the Matrix. It made no sense to me at all. But these guys could pick every little single imperfection out of that throttle and adjust it. And yeah, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, but you know what, you really can tell that they put the effort in. The fit and finish was really good on these bikes, and I've got to say, I've ridden this bike all year round, in all weathers. Yes, I AC 50 it after every wash, and I look after it, you know, and I lube the chain, but to be fair, it has held up really well. I have got one little bit on the bottom of my right hand side engine casing that's just starting to fur up, which absolutely destroyed me. I was like, no! But like I say, I have ridden this bike all year round. I was never really impressed or taken by the clocks. For me, I would have liked to have seen a more retro style clock, and you might say that is quite retro looking, and you can change it to a retro face. It does what it needs to do, and it gives you the information that you need. I fitted the taller screen, just for a little bit of wind protection. The mirrors on this bike I absolutely love. Aesthetically, again, you know, they're really pleasing, but they're also, they give really good visual awareness with minimum vibration. And I have a bit of a bugbear with mirrors. For me, they really have to be functional, not just aesthetically pleasing. And yeah, these are both, you know, they're nice to look at, but they really do give good visual awareness, both sides, and rear observations are just as important as the observations and the information you get from the front, the side, and obviously the back. Whoever owned this particular bike, who owned it before me, they really did love it. You could tell they looked after it. They lavished it with extras, you know, heated grips, spotlights, and it did have pannier racks on it, which I did have for a while, but I took them off, and a rear rack, which I do have a top box. And yes, I know what you're saying, a top box, that's not a bike you have a top box on. And aesthetically, yeah, you know, you are right. As you can see, I've not got it on today, but if I was doing any sort of miles, or I have a pillion on the back, then I would put the top box on. For one, it's a nice lockable source that's very functional, and two, it makes it a lot more comfortable for a pillion. But I do agree, aesthetically, this bike looks better without it. It's a shame now, because looking at the newer Scrambler models, they made a few cutbacks, and they started taking some of the bling off it. You know, the brakes aren't Brembo anymore, the rear piggyback shocks aren't Öhlins anymore. I don't even think they're running Showa front forks anymore. But the one thing they did change is the one thing that I wanted them to change from the off, and it's the one thing that just bugs the hell out of me, even to this day. And that is the bloody keyless ignition. Oh, it's not keyless, is it? You know, that was always my argument. It's not keyless because I still need a key for my fuel cap, you know. And I like to have somewhere I can put the key. That's just me. That's my personal preference. Now, it's in my pocket, but I'm forever fretting that I've not done my pocket up, and I've not zipped my pocket up, and I've lost the key, or I'm gonna lose the key. And I always remember the very first on this model. This was the very first model that Triumph decided that, you know what, we're going to go with keyless ignition. I can remember I came home the one day and I was like, I'm just going to leave it running by the back gate, and I'm going to see how far I can walk away from it, see if it cuts out, see if it disarms itself, you know. And I walked as far as I dare, and walked back to the bike, and it was still running. And I'm like, oh, that's strange. So I did it again, and I walked a bit further, and I got my wife to stand by it at this point. And yeah, same thing. Didn't cut out, didn't disarm itself, just kept going. So on my team meeting that week, I was talking to the team leader, and I says, I think there's and I'd put it on my login sheet. So there seems to be a problem with this keyless system. And he says, what do you mean? I says, I explained. And he smiled and he says, no, that's working perfectly right. I says, how can that be? Somebody wants to steal my bike and I've got my back to it, and the next thing they've jumped on, they've rode off. I want them to get 50 yards down the road and fall off. Well, their response was, yeah, unfortunately, the legality of it is, if we design a system that does that, we are now liable for that person falling off the bike, breaking his arm, breaking his leg, breaking his neck. And the bike has to keep running. But what it will do is, when they can't get any further, they have to turn the bike off, they won't be able to start it again. So yeah, I'm not going to lie, I am not a big fan of keyless ignitions. Like I say, if I can see somewhere for a key, my key's sat in there, I know where that key is. And for me, I'd prefer that. And I think they have done that on the new Scrambler models now. They have gone back to just a key. So yeah, it was one of those technology trials, if you like, or technologies that was just a bit of a faff, bit of a gizmo, bit of a gimmick, if you like, because it took a few years before the 1200s became truly keyless. And even then, I think you need a key for your luggage, as far as I can remember. Well, what a bloody lovely day. It's about time, isn't it? Clocks go back soon. Woof, can't bloody wait. So it's undeniable that the Scrambler is a beautiful bike to look at. It really is. And for me, this was always the best colour scheme they did. So I find that the Scrambler gives you a really good level of confidence when riding it, no matter your skill level. I think it's an easy bike to get on with. It's very manageable through towns, cities, especially love the fact that you've got this quite high stance, so you can see above the traffic as well as through it. So yeah, I quite like that. Like I say, I like the fit and finish of this bike. For me, it just is as if it was designed to fit me like a glove, and it does. It fits me like a glove. I would definitely look at the second-hand market if you're in the market for a Scrambler. I definitely prefer the first generation, 2019, 2021. I definitely prefer this generation of Scrambler to the new ones. I think, they took the bling off, which doesn't mean that the new Scrambler is any less proficient at what it's designed to do. I definitely don't like the new clocks on the new Scramblers, and I like the fact that I've got a bit of Brembo, I've got a bit of Öhlins, because aesthetically that just makes this bike look a little bit special. And for me, she's definitely special. She really is. Oh, do love that sound. Feel the roar of the mighty Scrambler. So, what are the negatives for a lot of people with the Scrambler is the heat. And even though today is nice blue skies, there's still a chill in the air. So it's quite nice to have that heat on the inside of your right leg. But on a really hot summer's day, you can either accept that heat or it will bug the hell out of you. So I tend to find that when I stop, I put my left leg down anyway, because I'm always covering my back brake with my right leg, so it stays on the peg pretty much. But if you was to put your right foot down flat footed, you will feel that heat through that exhaust. It does get very hot at times. For me, I can live with that, you know. I just find it as it's part of the quirk of having that eye level exhaust. I have spoke to a few people that have test ridden one and they were like, absolutely love the bike, right up to the point they burnt their legs or they felt that heat and they're like, yeah, I don't think I can live with that. And I get that, you know. For me it's a trade-off. Like I say, aesthetically I like the high exhaust on a Scrambler. It's what really makes a Scrambler, you know. Like anything, if it's a bike that intrigues you, go and test ride one. No matter what bike you're looking at, you need to go and test ride it. You need to put your bum in the saddle. You need to find out if it's a bike that you can fall in love with. Because otherwise, what's the point of owning it? You know. So, do any of you good people out there, do you own a Scrambler? Let me know in the comments below. Is it a bike that you fell in love with? Is it a bike that's captured your heart? Because this one certainly has mine.
So hopefully this is the first of many bike reviews. Let me know in the comments below. Is there anything I missed? Is there anything else you would like to see incorporated into these reviews? Because at the end of the day, I'm doing it for you good people. So let me know in the comments below. Is there anything I could be doing better? That's for sure. I can take critique, I can take the criticism, and it's how I will grow as a creator. So that's it. This is my 2019 Triumph Scrambler 1200XC, and I absolutely love this bike, I really do. If it's a bike that interests you, then definitely go and throw your leg over one. There's some bargains to be had out there in the second-hand bike market, especially when looking at these Scramblers. You can pick a really nice example up for between £7,000–8,000, and that's a lot of bike for the money. It really is. Give me a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, help me to grow, because this week has been a bit of a nightmare. I seem to fluctuate between 501 and 499, 501 and 499. It's been a bit like Groundhog Day. So if you like this video and you want to see more of them, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and hey, if you want to give it a hype, give it a hype. So the nice weather is upon us. Get your bikes out, enjoy your bikes, enjoy your riding. Never ride faster than your angel can fly.
A biker buddy sets himself free, living his best life, letting it be.